listening to Around Comics.
And you are probably watching Around Comics as well. If you're not listening, if you are listening, thanks for listening. If you're watching, welcome to Around Comics episode 380. I'm Brian Salazar. With me as always is Christopher Niesman. And they can't hear you when you just raise your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. No, you've transitioned me over to this visual media now, and I've embraced it. I've embraced it.
Yeah, you have, because every week you put something in front of the camera, or you. Yeah.
We are now in. This is actually we switched this week. This is the K Billy Super Sound Studio.
Yeah, with the Reservoir Dogs. Mm-hmm. And of course, Tom Caters as well.
Hi. I always respect both their audio and visual.
As well you should.
As you should.
If you can't get enough of us audio-wise, at least you can always join us at patreon.com/aroundcomics, where you can get bonus episodes of stuff like Tom versus the Flash. Oh, no, not Tom.
No,
Tom versus the Freedom Fighters.
Freedom Fighters. Oh, yeah. That's a good one coming up.
Oh, nice. All right. In 30 seconds with. It
should be 30 seconds with is what most of the guests say afterwards. I need a new guest. I gotta, you know what? I started a new job, and I'm curling this weekend. I'm going to Kansas City, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna holler at some people. I'm coming after you.
Oh wow! All right. I don't know who you're talking to. But...
That guy.
You will talk to me. You will tell me about. You're going to spend
just
30
people's homes. I haven't even reached out to him, so it's not about him not getting back to me. I really want to talk to Matt Kent. He's had so much awesome stuff since the last time we talked with him, and I want to.
Why won't he talk to you?
I just said I haven't reached out to him, so it's not like he's blowing me off. But
can you blame him?
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Yeah. I only talk to Chris because I'm obligated to. I'm paid, financially obligated to talk to Chris.
Tom, you should have seen how fast he pushed me out of his house last week. It was like,
get out.
Mike's went dark, screen went down. He's like, all right,
time to go. Show's over.
I was. We were watching the Bucks win the NBA championship, and nothing against the Bucks. It's great, but. One, I have almost no interest in NBA basketball any longer. And two, if I did have an interest, it wouldn't be in the Milwaukee Bucks. Even though I like Giannis, and my son is a huge Giannis fan.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that Giannis signed basketball for you, bud.
Oh, I keep hearing promises. First it was playoff tickets, then it was finals tickets. None of it gets just stop. Just stop. Don't talk about it anymore. If something shows up at my door, I'll be impressed.
All right. That's good. Promise in the pudding. Okay. No, you're going to talk why you don't like the Bucks.
No, it's not that I don't like the Bucks. I was falling asleep. Those damn ceremonies go on for 40 minutes after the game. The game's at 11. I'm like, he
doesn't live in Milwaukee. What does he care?
Who?
You.
Yeah, I don't.
What do you get?
Well, my son wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. Yeah. It was cool. Yeah, you were exhausted from figuring out how to have me in the same room with you again for an episode.
I definitely burned sage afterwards, cleaning the evil spirits from my basement.
You guys definitely look comfortable next to each other.
It was good. It was good.
Fun. It was fun. We had a good time.
It was weird though. Like I've never had anyone, doing a podcast with me in my basement. So it was a little odd.
Yeah. Well, it was finding my way around the dinosaur and the gigantic penny to get to your desk. So
I am Batman.
It was good. It was good. Hey, I think we actually have comics to talk about this week, right?
I believe so. I know I do.
So we text each other every week. I should rephrase that. Sal texts us every week, and Tom responds with what he's been reading. And the last couple of weeks, I don't respond at all because I'm really busy. But that's okay. But Sal said that he read something.
He's not too busy, folks, to post pictures on Facebook.
During
the
pictures.
day.
I have 2 pictures this week.
Today.
Was that? Huh?
There was 2 pictures today.
I posted nothing on Facebook today. Not one fucking thing.
All right.
Get off Facebook, Grandpa. Wait.
I'm on the TikTok pictures.
Yeah, get off Facebook.
Yes, so I try and get. I have to create the show art every week.
Yeah.
I have for the YouTube page. If you haven't visited our YouTube page or aroundcomics.com, I create show art for every episode. And, it's not a lot of work or anything, but I like to make it in some way, a relationship to what we're actually maybe going to talk about.
Because
so
you're a goddamn professional, Sal.
Well, I try. And, I'm trying. So I bug these guys every week to get some sort of idea of what we're going to talk about. And it's usually it can be a little futile some weeks, but that's just part of the process. It's what I've come to expect.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something this week that I also read. And do you want to introduce it, talk about it, and I'll chime in?
Oh, wow! You're just making me go first, huh? All right,
I'm putting you in the hot seat.
Yes.
So you were in the hot seat.
I don't know if you guys have been reading Nightwing at all since Tom Taylor took over Nightwing, but I started reading it, and not that I have a huge affinity for Nightwing or I don't like Nightwing, and I didn't read it before, but he's just one of those books where it's like, maybe I'll check it out if I like the writer, or I'll like the artist particularly, but I don't read it on a regular basis. I'm not constantly following Nightwing, but I've always liked Nightwing as a character. And I think we talked a lot about the Titans and just sort of that era and how that really still sticks with us. And I think Nightwing,
Dick Grayson is kind of the moral center of the DCU. That's kind of always how I think of him.
Yeah,
everyone loves.
Well, certainly
Dick
the Bat.
Yes.
But
bigger than that, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't read enough of the DC comics these days to say that's true or not. But we'll go with it. But so I started picking up the Tom Taylor written, and I'm trying to find the goddamn issues, but the DC Comics website does not make it easy to find comics. That's really
that is weird. Exactly how a comic book website should be. It should be really hard to navigate, hard to find things.
Yeah. It's just like
it should frustrate people. It should certainly say no women allowed.
He-Man Woman Hater Club.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yeah, Wayne just said what I didn't want to. Everyone loves Dick.
Everyone loves Dick.
Well, now you said it.
Anyway, I think his arc started with like issue 80 or 81. No, even maybe before that, like 79. But I picked it up at I think issue 80, which was the start of a new. Or they introduced a new villain called Heartless. And I really liked that issue. And then I read the next issue, and I really liked that issue. And I read the next issue, and I really liked that one. And I just think Tom Taylor has a really good feel for Dick. And I think he's really done a great job with this character of sort of, doing some original things. He's back in Bloodhaven, but he's not a police officer any longer. He's just Nightwing. He is filthy rich because Alfred left him millions and millions of dollars in his will because he knew that that Dick Grayson would do something good with it. And so he's sort of put a little bit of pressure on Dick to do more than just be a superhero. Mm-hmm. And Dick is taking that seriously, and he's sort of trying to figure out what kind of superhero he wants to be. He knows he's not just going to try and be Batman, because maybe that didn't always work so well. And also he's just a different person. He's not Batman. He's more of an optimist. He is a little more lighthearted. He's more about family. And he, I think a villain called Heartless is the perfect complement to Dick Grayson and Nightwing, because he is a hero with a lot of heart.
That's hard.
And I think Tom Taylor's really done a nice job of making him an adult, making him, Nightwing and not Robin, but also still he has sort of that boy wonder, a little bit of the not naivety, but just
He still believes in good.
Yeah. He just is an optimist, and he's a little bright-eyed still. He doesn't have the 1,000-yard stare of Bruce Wayne, where he's been through, torture after torture, and even if he has been through a lot of bad things, he's ever the optimist to some degree. And this storyline is about this character who is literally ripping the hearts out of people in Bloodhaven. And they think it's a serial killer, but it ends up it seems to be this super villain, and we haven't figured out why yet. But there's also this other story that's going along with the new mayor of Bloodhaven, who is apparently also working for Blockbuster, and Blockbuster is really the guy that runs Bloodhaven behind the scenes, and he has been for quite a while, and he's been controlling all the mayors for a while, and controlling all the bad stuff that goes along in
it's not a Nightwing story until Blockbuster shows up.
Yeah, right, of course. Yeah. So I just think every issue has been I
want to give away the big reveal of the mayor.
No, I don't think I want to do that. Okay. Melinda Zuko. But every issue has been, to me, it's been very emotionally driven. I think Tom Taylor's done an excellent job of sort of, latching on to a certain nostalgia about Dick Grayson and the fact that he was the boy wonder, but also the fact that he has always been a bigger part of the other characters, whether it's the Titans, whether it's Oracle, whether it's the other Robins, whether it's Batman, all those characters. He's always sort of, like you said, he's been a bit of the center of their lives, and while not necessarily the patriarch to that family, he is the older brother. He's everybody's sort of older brother, and at this point, the heart and the emotion and the caring that he has for those people is reciprocated. And there's a great scene so at the end of issue 81, he is breaking into the new mayor's apartment. Mysterious Melinda Zuko, who is Tony Zuko's daughter. And Tony Zuko is the guy that killed Dick's parents. All those years back. So there's a lot going on there. So he's breaking in to kind of figure out what's going on, but he probably shouldn't have, because he just got he just sort of I don't know how it happened, but he just got his memory back from being shot in the head. I don't know if you guys remember. He was a different character because he got shot in the head. Well, now he's back to being Dick Grayson, but he's still kind of fucked up from it. And he was just in a fight with this heartless character who is a super powered villain and got punched in the head. So he's sort of concussed, and he shouldn't really be out of bed, but he's a superhero. So he goes and does it anyway. And he breaks into the apartment, and then Melinda Zuko and this other woman attack him and hit him over the head with a baseball bat and knock him unconscious. That's the end of episode or issue 81. Issue 82 starts off with him tied up in their apartment, and for whatever, I don't want to spoil anything, but basically he gets loose, and immediately he calls Barbara Gordon, Oracle, and says, call off the rescue, because he knows that she's watching him, and she knows that she called in some people to rescue him. And he's like, they're not, they attacked a guy that was breaking into their apartment. They're not supervillains. Call them off. And then you see
Robin is just like, he's got a point.
But it's like Robin, what's her name?
Corey. Yeah, it's Corey. Starfire.
It's like everyone is there.
Boy, Bat. There's a great Bruce panel. So it's
Yeah.
and Donna. It's Donna basically
And
is
Donna
leading
Troy.
the charge. Yeah,
And
it's everyone who loves.
yeah.
I mean, it's either their love interest or like brother or son or nephew. I mean, that's the relationship that all the heroes have with them. It's great.
Yeah. And it's just this great scene of like, oh, that these are the people that care about him, and he knew that they would be there, and he knew he could count on them, but he has to call it off because he doesn't want them all busting into this poor woman's apartment.
Reduce this building to rubble.
Yeah. So that's just one little nugget of what I think Tom Taylor has really done a great job with this book so far, and why I'm enjoying it. Another, I think, a couple issues back, there was another sequence where he calls in not Damien, the other the second Robin.
Come
Jason.
on, Tom.
I'm not sure.
What's the other Robin? Not Damien, not Jason Todd.
Tim Drake.
Tim Drake.
Tim
Thank
Drake.
you.
Yes.
He calls in Tim Drake, and he's like, he in his head, he's narrating, and he's like, "It's Tim Drake. Some people think he was the best Robin. I get it." It's just like, just those sort of things where he's self-aware and confident, and just a really likable character.
Was Tim Red Robin? Did he do he was Red Robin for a while, right?
I don't even know. I don't know all the.
Yeah. I don't like the Tim Drake character, but I think he was because how many of them are there now? Like 5?
Well, yeah, there was Dick Grayson, then there was Jason Todd,
then Tim Drake,
then Damien, then
and then spoiler,
right,
no,
and then
spoiler, yeah,
is that all of them? And then what's her name from the Dark Knight Returns? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I just a really. I don't know. I really am liking what Tom Taylor. I think Tom Taylor is a writer who he's been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been writing comics for a little while now. And I think we're just starting to see him really start to graduate to a very good comic book writer, a very good superhero writer.
A name you follow.
Yeah. I think he's one of those guys where now it's like, oh, I know he's going to write a good book. Not that he was ever bad or anything, but I just think you're starting to.
Now you're good.
Now you're not terrible.
Now you're good.
Yeah. So yeah.
Man,
so
it's one of the things I like about this book is that you look at stuff that like Darwin Cook did, where he wrote it and drew it and inked it and all of that. This is like a team of creators. Tom Taylor is the writer, but my goodness, did you look at the in issue 82? It's Bruno Redondo is I think the primary penciler, but aided by Rick Leonardi and Neil Edwards, and then it's Redondo, Andy Lanning, and Scott Hanna on inks. So they've got like 5.
Yeah. Well, in this particular
team effort book,
in this particular issue, there's flashbacks to Dick Grayson's past,
and
so
I would be first in line to try and read a Flying Grayson's comic book because that flashback was awesome.
It was great.
Yeah,
and the style is very retro, which I'm a sucker for, but also it's written really well because you can see Tim's personality from his father. Like his father has very much that same sort of roguish, joking personality that not Tim, I mean Dick has as well. So but yeah, it's really good. I've really enjoyed the 3 or 4 issues so far that I've read, and I'm looking forward to more Tom Taylor's Dick.
Thank you for suggesting it because I was not aware. I had not been reading Nightwing. I'm like you. I kind of, go in and out of reading Nightwing. If I hear it's a good, storyline, I'll pick it up. There's never been a Nightwing comic I haven't enjoyed, and but I'm just not always reading it. And this is great. So thanks.
I always supported Tom, a good Tom, not one of the
times.
bad one, not one of the bad ones. So
A good time.
a good Tom can't
Hard
keep
to
a good
find.
Tom down. Yeah,
Can't keep it. Good
a
time.
lot of bad ones.
Wayne says that Cassie Brown was also a Robin.
Yes. No.
She wasn't spoiled?
Stephanie Brown.
Stephanie Brown. Was that
Stephanie
spoiler?
Brown. That
Stephanie
Stephanie Brown was spoiler and Robin. So yeah, she's in the pantheon of Robins.
Lots of
Robins. If you go into Sal's basement, he has all of the Robin costumes in
glass
tubes. And you
Sounds
can see
like
them all.
one of those 3 Jokers needs to kill some of these Robins.
We got a few too many.
We got like 6 Robins, 3 Jokers.
My
Not enough
son's
tire irons.
my son's favorite Robin. Oh, that's terrible, Chris. How could you say something like that? Is Damien. He loves Damien from
Of course.
cartoons and just that his Damien's whole. And I think Damien's a great character. I think that he's a lot of fun whenever he pops into a book, or he has his own book now that's pretty good too.
Yeah,
but
he's such a little asshole.
yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm.
But he would be like, how could he not be?
Yeah.
I mean, your dad's Batman, your mom's, Talia al Ghul. You've been raised by a league of, assassins. Yeah, you're gonna be an asshole. You're gonna be.
If it was 30 years ago and the comic companies weren't all corporatized and IP this and like that, man, they would be doing the Damien Robin and Hit Girl crossover, and it would be amazing.
Yeah. Wayne says Cassandra Cain was spoiler /
Yeah.
So thank you, Wayne, for always fact checking us. Wayne, he's our.
I love Joe. I love Joe's comment. Joe Galuzik. He says, "I was never a Robin."
Joe was never a Robin. Well, prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you prove that? Is that provable? Can you prove? I saw a sign today that said, it was in a restaurant, and it said that they would not allow people to eat at the restaurant unless they had proof they were not vaccinated.
Where was that at?
It was somewhere, I don't know, probably Florida. I don't know, but
Huntington Beach.
Was
no,
it?
True, yeah. Orange County.
Okay.
Oh, Orange County, California. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I was just like, how do you prove that exactly? How do you prove you were not vaccinated?
Oh, the fact that you want to participate.
Ways, Sal. There's a few ways. First of all, you show your conceal and carry. Yeah, we're not going to go down that road. All right, Tom.
Which Robins do you think would get vaccinated?
Damien, definitely not.
Damien's a no.
No way.
Dick, yes.
Jason Todd, no chance.
Dick, yes.
Jason Todd, no. Jason Todd, no.
Jason Todd, no. Jason Todd.
No vax. No vax.
Jason Todd is starting a rally. He's going to be at a rally.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which of the 3 Jokers do you think gets vaccinated?
The
criminal.
My favorite parts of the 3 Jokers was the Jason Todd in there. It was
when they got vaccinated.
When he got vaccinated.
He did not get vaccinated. No.
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Any of the Jokers would? I don't know. Maybe the criminal. He seems at least grounded in reality somewhat.
This is true.
I mean, the other 2, no. Not getting vaccinated. They're going to try and put Joker serum in the vaccines.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would make sense.
Which of your Joker?
Tomas, I believe you are still reading some. Is it DC?
It's Infinite Frontier.
DC Infinite Frontier.
We keep saying Infinite Crisis.
Well, it's confusing these days.
It's confusing, but it's definitely not a crisis.
Oh, it's not a crisis. But it is infinite.
It is infinite. Yeah, no crisis though. That's why it's good. Yeah, because I admire Joshua Williamson and the team of artists that have been working on it. Zermanico, I believe, did a lot of it, but there's a lot of flashbacks and sort of the newest one. So there's some other artists working on it. It's much more casual and breezy than your usual like crisis type story, which I think actually makes it work a lot better because you don't get like, anytime anything gets called a crisis, it's like, oh, this is something big's gonna happen, and like every panel's gotta be like this big important moment. And by sort of avoiding that, they're sort of making like one of my more favorite sort of like event comic things by not sort of like trying to give that import to everything in there. And then in a sense, when something important does happen, it is like, oh, that's cool. Instead of like waiting, you're like, it's like instead of a blockbuster movie where you're waiting for all the shit you saw in the trailers to happen, it's sort of like, oh, okay, like the way they sort of treat it and the way they're telling the story, there's sort of like a easy breeziness to it that's kind of fun, that's not so like dire all the time, or like this, like this is important, which I like. I'm enjoying it, and they're also kind of doing. I always complain that whenever DC does a multiverse story, they never actually like spend enough time actually using the multiverse to tell like an interesting story. It's just like we'll dip in for a little bit, and then nothing will happen, right? And they're actually kind of using, like they're really using President Superman, and they're really using Thomas Wayne, and they're really using, the bleed and all that. Like it's really part of the story, and it's almost got like a real, like a more sophisticated like Bronze Age kind of feel to it, in that like you see all these characters kind of running into each other, but like it's sort of like it's not getting stuck at any points, where sometimes I think in more modern comics there's almost too much like we kind of have to spend all this time with why this character is running into this character, whereas back in the day it just sort of happened. And the way they're telling the story is kind of like combining that sort of like, well, yeah, we can just smash all these things together, but with like a little more modern point of view, so it kind of reads a little faster and a little less wordy. It actually sort of reminds me of the Legion books we're reading at the same time. It reminds me a little bit of like if you took the Great Darkness Saga and like cut the words by about like 70%, like where there's just like a way that the story just kind of rolls along like in a nice way, like where it isn't like stopping for this and stopping for that. Like I'm just enjoying it quite a bit.
It was funny. I've been reading it too, and it's funny that you mention sort of how it's not like everything is so dire, and it's not a crisis book necessarily. And I almost like was confused reading it because I kept going through it going, well, wait a minute, am I missing something? This seems like it's not nearly. How is this going to change everything? Yeah, like I mean,
it might, because they're kind of they're not reading it that way, like they're just kind of telling a nice comic book story and like kind of using all these different, like they're harkening back to old things, with the Flash, being on the sort of giant treadmill type thing, and the Psycho Pirate, and just like they're using Black Lantern stuff, but none of it feels like really heavy, like it's not like getting weighed down by like, what does this mean in relation to this? It's more, like he's just kind of pulling things and like, so it's almost like when something really fun happens at the end of an issue, you're kind of like, oh, that's cool, like it just feels like.
I absolutely was too at the last issue. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like that's
because it didn't feel like it did kind of come out of like, it was surprising because it didn't feel so like weighed down by all the twists and turns and like trying to like swerve you at every stop to like guess what's gonna happen next. Like it seems removed from all that sort of stuff, where it's just like telling the story.
It is interesting that a lot of the like the original, Crisis was in a lot of ways a mystery, right? Like it was this mystery of what was going on and who was behind it, that kind of thing. And I think a lot of them have followed suit in that way. Like it always has to be some sort of mystery, but where this isn't really a mystery necessarily. I mean, it's a mystery in the sense of like
kind of, but
used what happened, but there's no like, is Darkseid behind all this? Like that's not really what is driving the book.
Yeah. And it's like when you think about the original Crisis too, the original Crisis is, it's kind of a mess. Like there's like where it just kind of stops and starts and has like about 4 false finishes.
Right.
And, like it just kind of like leaps all over the place. But, it was nothing, no one had done anything like that before. So it like kind of has a classic status from that. And like those false finishes are all super interesting. But like, in this book, it's sort of like, I don't know, there's just like a momentum to it that's kind of nice. It doesn't feel so like, purposeful or so like, we have to do this to set up this.
Right.
Like now we have this page where this book is going to launch from this. Like they might do it, but it doesn't feel like the story is like being hindered by it.
It's self-contained too. Like it's just there's not like 75 other books that I have to read.
I don't have to buy this month's Action Comics to know the next part of the story.
None of it's linked to anything, right? Like I think there's a Infinite Frontier secret files.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff happening in some of the books that kind of tie into it, but you certainly don't need to like read any of them to like understand. The new Booster Gold and Blue Beetle first issue too,
right.
kind of like underneath that banner. But it's not like, hey, go check out this issue before you come back for issue 4. Like the story isn't working that way, which I think is nice. And it's kind of like there's
there's infinite possibilities. We can tell whatever stories about any characters anywhere that we want, and that's what we're gonna kind of do. It's kind of cool. Like it doesn't have.
I'm like, like the end of the last issue, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I was
agreed. I was the same way. I was like, oh, I didn't expect that, and that's cool.
That's cool.
Now I want to see more of that. I'll
read more of that.
This book has been kind of interesting in that way of like it almost, like I said, I almost was expecting it to be more, laden in the typical sort of crises thing. So maybe DC is learning from previous, they don't have to necessarily reboot the fucking thing every year and change. I mean, it's obviously wildly changed by this, but at the same time, it's more freeing. It's like it seems like in the past it was always a big change, but it became more restricted. Where this is a big change, where it's actually more freeing for creators to kind of do, tell, and the company as a whole is just like, we can kind of do whatever we want.
Yeah, I'll get to that in the book that I read this week.
Yeah, like when you think about it, and you think about you think of the characters in the book, and it's a weird collection of characters. Like it's not your like Batman, Superman, it is sort of like these weird different like little corners of like the multiverse sort of getting pulled into this story, but you don't feel the absence of that. It's almost like a real, like if you wanted a book about the DC universe as opposed to like a Superman book or a Batman book, like you're sort of pulling it off in like an interesting way where it's sort of like, oh, okay, like this is kind of what this universe is about. And anytime you get to see Mr. Bones, that's always
it's Director Bones to
use. Director Bones. It's great.
I have to admit, every time Captain Carrot comes on a page, I'm just like, there's a little part of me that sort of smiles and I'm just like, and he's I want to see him. I want to see like a story about Captain Carrot though. What Chris, what are you doing? What are you? Why are
Oh
you,
my god, dude! It's
we
not.
don't care. This is we don't care about your artwork.
That's Director Bones right there.
Awesome! Wow, I didn't know what he looked like.
Drag your bones.
But yeah, every time I see some of these characters, it's fun. It's it's like you said, it's a fun way to use these characters, and where it's like, oh, that's wow, oh look at that, that's kind of neat. It's
even like the darkest part would be Roy Harper coming back from the dead, but even then, they're kind of treating that with like a lightness to it.
Right.
It feels like not. He makes like like when he's trapped in space. He's like, I guess I'll just wait here. There's always people coming and going, And
space.
Yeah.
Space. There's always someone leaving Earth and coming to Earth. Don't fight me. Yeah.
That's hilarious in a very DC sort of way.
Yeah.
And
so it's like
President Superman Barack Obama.
I think that was sort of around when President Superman made his first appearance. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just like, he kind of acts like Barack Obama. Yeah. I don't know.
I want President Superman to be Obama.
It's very like and like they're on Earth 22, so you see sort of like the Magog, and you see sort of like that the I don't know, you just get a chance to kind of jump around and kind of see all these different things kind of like running into each other, and it's cool.
Yeah, Magog. I mean, there's a lot of 90s villains, but Magog is a 90s villain.
Magog.
Oh, good God. Yeah.
I love that story, though. I love that. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and Alex Ross does a Magog that look amazing.
What was I going to say? I forgot now. Shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
Go ahead.
The only like Earth Zero character in it is Barry Allen, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't know technically what Alan's. I think. Well, yeah, kind of. Because Alan Scott, he's looking for the other Justice Society, sort of like Earth 2-ish. I mean, I don't know technically where he's from, but yeah, historically, he's not, like a Earth. Earth Zero type character. Yeah, so man, that's kind of interesting in its own way too, of like where all these like characters are being pulled from.
Yeah, it's just neat. It's I think part of me wants to sort of because I don't know the history of a lot of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of them, some of them at least, I just don't know that much about them. So it's kind of neat in some ways, but there's part of me has to fight the urge to go down a rabbit hole and
pull out all of your old Captain Carrot comics.
Yeah, well, Captain Carrot, Joe G said Captain Carrot and cartoon physics rule. Like,
it's a rabbit hole.
Or the Iron Man-esque character from Earth 8. The Marvel Earth, I think Machine Head.
Is Marvel Earth 8?
Head.
Yeah, like
what Earth 8 is the Marvel universe? Because that would be hilarious.
It's not Marvel, but it's the Marvel
analogs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
like the
so you have an armored guy that's basically Iron Man, but he's called Machine Head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun book, definitely. It's
nice.
I've enjoyed it. For sure.
My kind of what I read this week and really enjoyed kind of spirals right off of that, and that's Batman it's Superman and the Authority, which is confusing because no one from the Authority is in there.
Well,
yeah.
Wasn't
did either of you two read it?
Not yet.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So Manchester Black, is that the
yes?
Yeah, he is not a member of the Authority. I remember him from being with the Elite, which is he was a occasional Superman villain, but has nothing to do with the Authority, right?
I don't remember, to be honest. I don't think so. I think, I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He isn't
So
part of the authority. What the fuck
no,
is
I mean
authority?
he wasn't created by Warren Ellis. I forget who actually created the character, Joe Kelly or somebody like that.
Yeah, it was
But
Joe Kelly and Doug
was it
Mankey.
Joe? Okay, and Doug Mankey. I mean, he reads like a Warren Ellis character. I think this is Grant Morrison doing Warren Ellis, because this is absolutely a early 2000s authority type character, and I don't remember him being quite like that. There's a lot of Jenny Sparks in Manchester Black in this. He's the interesting part of the story for me. It's he's taken down in the beginning, and Superman has to rescue him and save him from being basically killed by these anti-terrorism shock troops or whatever. And they're like nemesis at this point, but this is an older Superman. Is that the Kingdom Come um, outfit that the kind of streamlined S?
I believe so.
So this is kind of a whatever out of pocket, universe Superman who's older. It's not quite the Kingdom Come Superman, but he's getting older. He's losing his powers, and he has to save Manchester Black in order to stop the Phantom Zone from shattering, basically, and having the world overrun with all the people that he's had to imprison over the years. Man, it felt like a turn of the century authority type book. It did. It read like a book from 20 years ago, and I was okay with that.
Yeah, it is weird that he is. I mean, this is a Black Label book, right? I think it's a Black Label. So I don't know if
it's who cares? It's with DC, like we were just talking about, how they put shit in a blender every few years and it doesn't matter. I mean, this could be mainline DC. Who's to say? And I went back and read some of Manchester Black's history. He's died and come back and been rebooted with the New 52 and then the New Universe, or whatever they're calling the last one. So he's lived and died since like the late 90s or something. And I remember reading that story where he was the leader of the Elite, which were the hardcore Justice League, the ones that were willing to do what it took to keep the supervillains off the street, kind of thing. And so I remember him for that. But yeah, it's interesting to see this Grant Morrison kind of rebirth of this character. But for me, it was like reading Ellis Authority issues.
Yeah, it definitely had that feel. I thought the Superman, I mean, it felt a little bit like Grant Morrison's, Silver Age Superman. What's the book?
Oh, All-Star?
All-Star.
Yeah, it's felt, I mean, a little bit like that. I really liked the beginning. It sort of showed Superman in 1968 or whatever, talking to President Kennedy.
63.
And sort of, I'm sorry, yeah, 63. And Kennedy, kind of giving Superman this
pep talk
speech and mandate almost of like, you're the one that has to save us, kind of thing. And if something happens to me, I'm counting on you, Superman. And we all know,
to fix everything. And and then Kennedy dies. Spoilers. And then
wait, what?
Yeah, and then I
murdered by the Kryptonite Man.
And so that kind of sets up this lifelong path that he goes on to live up to this ideal and this promise that Jack Kennedy kind of swore him to. And now we're, however long, it never says if it's present day or not, but yeah, he's kind of like, oh, or does it? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't really say,
yeah.
I don't think. And it's just sort of, it's taken out of any sort of reality, I think. I think it's just, a Grant Morrison Superman story. I don't think it necessarily is, placed in any particular time or place.
Yeah, and it's fine. It doesn't have to be. It's just he's not as powerful as he used to be. He needs help, and so he's having to go to one of his enemies and not only save his life, but then convince him against all of his own convictions to help save the world. And that's kind of issue 1. I have no idea where the Authority fit into this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not, maybe
other than it read like a early 2000s Authority.
Warren Ellis stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming they'll show up, or maybe the Authority he's talking about is a different kind of authority than what we're assuming. Maybe
it's Grant Morrison, so who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, this is his farewell to DC Comics.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yeah. This is it. He's
better not suck then.
Yeah, well, so far so good, I guess.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy it. It's and honestly, I didn't know it was Grant Morrison writing it. I just picked it up because it looked interesting, and it's one of those, once again, very early 2000s type comics where the title page is about almost exactly halfway through the fucking book, which is a very, very fucking Warren Ellis thing to do. And so then I looked and I was like, oh shit, it's Morrison. So I didn't even know it was Morrison whenever I started reading it.
Maybe, I mean, just thinking out loud, but maybe this is told before the Authority books, and Superman is sort of responsible for putting the Authority together.
The creation of the Authority.
Yeah, maybe that's where it was created. Was
damn you, Grant Morrison.
I don't know.
That's actually really interesting.
Is that why Jenny Sparks looks like she does? Like, she has that same Union Jack T-shirt that Manchester Black wears. Maybe, I don't know. And kind of the same attitude.
And very much the same attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe says he loves the art in the book, and I didn't mention it's Mikhail Janin. It's Janin with the
Janin.
Mike Janin.
Mike Janin.
Mickey
Janin.
Jordi Belair on colors, which are always awesome.
Superman and the Authority. Well, man, this was all DC week.
I know. We're gonna have to bring out the schnick.
Hey, Blue and Gold was good too. The Booster Gold Blue Beetle book by Dan Jurgens and Ryan Sook.
Booster Gold's
Ryan Sook,
a fun character.
It's great. Booster Gold's really aged into. Finally, this is the time where Booster Gold makes the most sense,
right?
Of like just the superhero who's essentially also trying to like
be
constantly get attention. Yeah, I mean the issue of him trying to rescue the Justice League from a spaceship, and Skeets is live streaming it on like different.
Yeah, because back in the '80s, when that was like Booster Gold's shtick or whenever he was created. When did Booster Gold?
In the '80s,
in the '80s, right? Yeah. It was like, well, that's kind of crazy
before his time, man.
Like but it's like we didn't realize the future Booster was 2020.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like live streaming in the comic. You can see all people leaving comments like, "This guy's gonna die," like as he's trying to do it. And of course, he gets in trouble, and Skeets goes and gets Blue Beetle, and it's good. I mean, it's a
Who
wrote
it?
Dan Jurgens, creator of Booster Gold.
Yeah, I mean, Dan knows his business.
Yeah, so it was good. It was funny. If you like Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, it was exactly what you would be looking for. It was good.
Nice.
So to go along with our whole discussion about infinite crises and multiverses and everything, I was sent a thing from a company. It was a survey, and it was about Marvel and DC Comics and their various multiverses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So basically, there were lots of questions about different shows and different things, whatever. But two of the questions were, one was, how would you explain the DC universe or multiverse, and how would you explain the Marvel multiverse? And so I sort of was like, the DC multiverse was, originated in the comics. It started in Showcase #4 when Barry Allen ran so fast he traveled to, I went through this whole sort of thing, and then I'm like, and then in the 80s, it was sort of decided editorially, it became unwieldy, and they culled it with a crisis, and then since then it's been revisited and rebooted various times, and now we're sort of in this place where there's infinite universes once again, and it seems to be some sort of fruit. And then I was like, how do you explain the Marvel multiverse? Well, Loki fucked around and created a bunch of multiverses because Marvel wants to recast all their actors as the same.
Thin.
And that's pretty much it.
that is the rest of the story.
Yeah. But I'm hoping this means that DC Comics is sort of, understanding what it is they have, or Marvel, or not Marvel, but Warner Brothers, maybe understanding what they have and will stop failing miserably to feature the characters that they have in good ways.
Let it ride and tell good stories, man.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It was interesting because part of the survey was like, how important is a multiverse to you? And I'm like, none.
None of it's important.
None of it's important. Like, tell a good story. I don't give a shit if it's a multiverse or not. Just give me a good story. I don't need 12 Supermen unless they're all good stories. Like if they're all good stories, I'll read them all, or I'll watch them all, but if they're not, I don't care if there's multiple versions of a character, if they all suck, if none of them are interesting or engaging, whatever. But I just thought it was interesting, and yeah, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to heard good things about Suicide Squad 2, so hopefully.
And I tell you, that's the other thing about the comics that I read, and it was a very DC heavy week, but man, everyone has the ad for Azzarello and Malieve's Suicide Squad. I'm excited about that book.
There's I got a notice like they're doing preview shows this Thursday at Riverside AMC, I think, but I'm unfortunately busy. I was gonna if I didn't, they might be some in Milwaukee. Go. I think it's if you just go to the Suicide Squad website, you can register for passes.
Nice.
For it. So, but I'm definitely looking forward to that movie.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything else?
We should let people know that Sal and I kicked Tom off the show, replaced him with Will Pfeiffer, and started a Quentin Tarantino podcast.
A Quentin Tarantino film retrospective.
I'm sorry, sir. Yes, the film retrospective. And retrospect we did on K Billy Super Sounds. It should pop up in the Around Comics feed. It's probably on the Patreon feed, and I think Will's going to put it down on Out of Theaters. Yes,
I believe so. I'm not sure if he is or not. He may just be late. Those lazy writers. Mm-hmm. They don't have time for this kind of thing. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Sunday, we did the first episode, which was Reservoir Dogs. And we talked almost longer than the movie.
We did. We went 20 minutes over runtime.
Oh my
So Tom,
guys.
I'm
Jesus.
the one that's having to put time restrictions. I said we will not talk about a movie longer than its actual runtime.
And we did the first one. But the good thing is his movies get longer and longer.
Yeah.
So, Pulp Fiction is a 3-hour movie. It's 2 hours and 58 minutes. So that, and there's a lot of like 3-hour movies in there we're gonna have to talk about. But the next one is going to be True Romance, which is not directed by Tarantino, but written by, and it's kind of the one that got in the money to make Reservoir Dogs. So we'll talk about that in about 3.5 weeks. I'm excited about it.
Joe asked, "Who is Mr. Pink?" Come on, man, it's Steve Buscemi. What do you mean, who is Mr. Pink?
Who is Mr. Pink?
Steve Buscemi.
He could be talking about one of the other movies that it was referenced from, which you would know because you watched them all.
No, there was Mr. Brown was in The Big Combo. He was the bad guy in The Big Combo. There wasn't a Mr. Pink in Pelham 1 2.
See, Tom. So what I've done here is fill the last 4 minutes of the show by starting the discussion about Tarantino because I know that this could go for an hour or two easy. So anymore, so
I still have notes. I didn't get to.
You have notes
about Reservoir Dogs. So I got to do a director's cut of the episode just so I can talk about all the things that you interrupted me about.
I have a feeling that as obsessive as Sal is about this, there will be like the K. Billy Super Sounds Reservoir Dogs extra, where it's going to be Sal just going through his notes.
My notes.
I was actually
doing
supplementary episodes where I talk about the movies that
influenced it.
Yeah. I was thinking about that a little bit, but you and
Will should do that. You and Will should do that. You would love it. You would love it. All right. So anyway, that's on the AC feed, and once again, if you're a patron, we really do appreciate it. It takes the pressure of having to pay for this stuff off of our backs, and so we can just concentrate on getting together every week and talking amongst ourselves as friends, and you get to watch it and listen to it. We appreciate it. I'm not Mr. Pink, Joe.
You're Mr. Pink.
I am. I have inferiority complex, and I am grumpy. That is true. But I am a very good tipper. Tom, you've got some Tom versus the Freedom Fighters coming up.
This has got Wonder Woman in the next one, and sort of January 6th style attack on the UN by the Freedom Fighters.
What?
Yeah, they're awful. Just
like
such a terrible superhero team.
They
stormed the United Nations.
Rioters.
Yeah, they stormed the United Nations.
1776, bitches.
If you ever want to see a comic where Uncle Sam basically attacks a police officer for trying to stop them from invading the UN, check out Freedom Fighters #4. Yeah, it's
radical.
I'm in.
Yeah, awesome. Hard to believe it only ran for 15 issues. So it's like, oh God, what are we gonna do? What's gonna happen in this? They still don't have a ship. Black Condor's got to literally carry everyone all the time. It's just
a ragtag.
Goddamn, guys. Get in a car or something.
Can you not get a Quinjet somewhere?
It's every single issue. There's a Black Condor is carrying 6 people. They're holding onto his hands and his feet, and he's got I think Black Condor just fly. I don't even know how he flies. To be honest, I don't totally get Black Condor in the old Freedom Fighters comics. I'm this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Nice.
Chris, Sunday, ACTV. We were originally planning on doing Masters of the Universe, but Revelation. But I don't think that's happening because that show's terrible. and I have no interest in complaining about it for an hour or two.
I understand. I actually, yeah, we'll figure it out because I may be in Kansas. Well, I'm going to be driving back from Kansas City, so
Kansas City.
here we go.
All right.
I watched some TV. First episode of Ted Lasso season 2 was amazing. Just telling you what I watched.
I'm just saying it wasn't that amazing.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think that show is Jump the Shark.
No, not yet.
Which show?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah. Man.
You got rid of the tension of the owner of the team not.
There's new tension. There's going to be new tension. It's going to be between Ted and the sports psychologist.
You don't need Ted Lasso. You have Giannis. He's like the real version
of Ted Lasso.
Giannis gives me joy. We started watching the Mysterious Benedict Society. It's a RL. Is it? No, it's not RL. Tony Hale is producing and starring in it, and I think that I forget what channel it's on. Maybe Disney, whatever. It's been interesting. And on the other end of the spectrum, I started watching, or I'm continuing to watch Black Summer. Are you zombied out?
No, I think I watched the first few episodes of that show, but
yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like
watching Have Gun Will Travel.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wanted, Dead Alive, and Gunsmoke.
Tom, he's been watching westerns because he's researching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the shows that the main character, one of the main characters, Lancer, and it's
Bounty Law.
He's obsessed, Tom. He's obsessed.
Yeah, I get it.
I am an enabler.
I am obsessed. I can't help it. I've read the book now, and I want to read it again.
Wayne, you're listening, or Joe, you're listening. We do on ACTV next.
Oh, what TV would they want us to talk about?
What TV show or movie would you like us to talk about on the next?
This is what we've come to.
This is what we've come to. Yes.
Asking,
please
tell us what to talk about. We don't...
All right. So while we're waiting for that, we'll sign off here.
Yes. Joe just asks. What the fuck is that? A TV show, Joe? Yes.
All right, so we've obviously burned this candle to the end. We will be back on maybe Sunday talking about an as of yet undetermined TV show or movie, and then
or it could just be me talking about Quentin Tarantino for 45 minutes.
Sal reading his essay on Tarantino's Reservoir Dog era.
I have notes.
I know you have notes. In the meantime,
in between time.
We'll be everywhere. In and around.
Bounty Law with Cliff Booth. No, not with Cliff. With
I do want to watch that Gunsmoke. Is it Gunsmoke episode Vengeance that had the guy that Stacy? Yeah.
No. It was his show was Lancer. That was
but he got his start in Gunsmoke. Yeah, Gunsmoke episode.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The
Vengeance. Two-parter.
It was a two-parter. I probably have it. Well, there you go.
I want to watch it.
You can't come over. You've used your
my once every 14 years that I can go to.
I'm sorry.
House.
You used it.
I'm done until 2035.
That's the way it goes. Sorry.
All
right. I understand.
Goodbye.
Bye.